it's me, Mario, and today I'm going to teach you all about the life sequences of stars. But first, what exactly is a star? Well, why not try taking a look at the sun? Don't look at the sun, you'll never recover from it. Yes, but how did the sun get like this? Here's an image from the National Schools Observatory. As you can see, there's, of course, the first two forms. These two forms both forming from a stellar nebula. When a stellar nebula forms, an average star or a massive star gets created. Then they go on to red giant or red supergiant, then either a supernova or planetary nebula. From a planetary nebula, it then proceeds to turn into a white dwarf, which is actually what our sun will turn into instead of a neutron star, which is what would happen to a red supergiant after supernovaing, or a black hole would form after collapsing under the own weight of its gigantic form. But really, how was this created? How did these all start? That's what we're here to do today. Well, to start it off, a star is born inside of a nebula. Then, with high pressure, the atoms squeeze really hard, to the point where they undergo lots of fusion. Eventually, after these fusion reactions occur, the pressure decides to go outward, which is what the rest of this video will be. You see,
after a star is born, it's only a few like 10,000 degrees. So when it's only a few or 10,000 degrees, it's called a protostar. This thing really isn't that big, and the gravitational pull is not that good. They tend to stay asleep for around 100,000 to 1 million years. So potentially 100,000 years from now, we could have a star that's already of its protostar stage. Then after this is the big decision. It was a scientifically based fact. We don't know if it will go on to
or red giant, or main sequence,
or even maybe smaller stars that are the size of Jupiter. Right now the path will be in that main sequence. So, by the way, one thing I forgot to mention, the heat scale is on Kelvin.
Once I go to a main sequence star, because let's just treat me like I'm a star, I'm around 20,000 to 40,000 Kelvin. Now this is depending on mass in megatons. If the mass is about 10, it would be 22,000, 15 would be 28,000, 25 would be 35,000, and a staggering 60 megatons makes 48,000 Kelvin. But that's only far away from the star. Oh no, you want to see the average temperature? Now, after the 10 billion years is up, typically the star turns into a red supergiant. And these things are massive. Actually, if the sun were to grow into one of these, which is not for another 58 billion years, then this would absolutely be catastrophic to Venus and Mercury. Yeah, they wouldn't exist. Either that or a star can get very unlucky and just straight up turn into a white dwarf. Meaning that yes, actually anything can turn into a white dwarf. It just depends on luck of the star. It also depends on the heat and mass and everything. And then after that, yeah, it goes all nebula and stuff. And yo bro, it just goes explodey boomy kawazumi. Now we have what happens when it turns straight into a supergiant. Now I know we've been using Kelvin units, but massive stars on average are 600 million Celsius. Can you see me? As soon as I touch that wood, it's gonna explode. Now, after I turn into a red supergiant, I go from basically exploding wood to being under 11,000 Kelvin on average. Meaning I go from a world superpower to nothing, except I get bigger. Whoa! Haha, look at how big I am! I'm gonna touch the ceiling! Oh! So yes, after a billion years, wasted for nothing. Then after that, I only last like a few million years. Until this happens. This right here is a supernova simulation in 4 times speed. Just sit back and relax and watch it explode. either become a baby again or the coolest thing happens.
I become a black hole. When I'm a black hole, I basically destroy everything, and I'm like this forever.
However, I'm a neutron star. I can live up to like 10 billion years. Yeah, neutron stars can get to really large ages and numbers, but after that they just disappear. Or they become a brown dwarf, which eventually dies after 10 million years. Now, back to earlier when I was talking about a main sequence star, how it evolves from there. Now, just before I start, just know that the sun is going to do this. So when it becomes a white dwarf, who knows what will happen to the future Earth. Anyway, so what would actually happen? Well, it would last about 10 to 20 billion years. It sounds extremely long, but it's actually not that long. For the universe still has billions upon trillions of years to go. Meaning, there's so many stars out there that could be dying right now, be supernovaing right now, could be turning into white dwarfs, and we might know it unless we can see it. Maybe someday we will. Wahoo! Welcome to Luigi's size class, where we talk about sizes. Now you see this mini Sonic shrink. Well, act like this is the sun for a second. This is what it'll be like in 5 billion years. Then after the 5 billion years, act like this ball's an explosion. That's what's gonna happen. And we'll all take that course too. Like for example, me. But folks, we're here to talk about sizes. So how big is the average star? For example, let's take our sun right there in that very nice image. You see, the sun is about 432,000 miles long, or high, or wide, or whatever you think it is. Just think about it, it's a circle. But anyway, the size of a sun is a main sequence star, meaning it ranges from a tenth of its size or 200 times its size. Meaning the sun could potentially be 200 million miles in mass. Now that's pretty big, right? Well, there's also the smaller version of each of these stars. Have you ever thought about protostars? Protostars are typically 20 to 40 kilometers in size in metric units. Back to the slushies though. This is of course the protostar. Supergiant. These can be 200 million to 1 billion kilometers in size. Here's an image right there. Very nice image, huh? I downloaded it off of a PNG website. Now, we have to solely rely on scientifically based facts for hypergiants. These things are absolutely huge. In fact, the largest ever discovered star, UI Scuti, is 1,700 times larger than our own sun. That means it's $738.35 million miles in size. Finally, back to neutron stars. Neutron stars are about the same size, maybe even smaller than protostars, being around an average of only 20 kilometers in size, because I don't use miles anymore. I'm Italian, remember? Wahoo, Italian plumbers, high five, bro, wahoo! One more thing before we switch this over to somebody else. Stars can take different paths. This could grow into this. This could become that. This, that. Oh no, it turned into a black hole! Oh no, I just turned into a bomb! Oh. Yep, alright, it's time to bring the heat. Oh, hi, I'm Bowser Jr. Because I spit fireballs, am here to talk about heat and how much luminosity and fire gets burned off of a star. I don't know, that kind of made me sound smart. I only have 14 IQ. So we have this little star here, for example. Let's just say that's a protostar, and yes, I am upside down. You have now been warned. As you can see, the first star temperature is 2,000 to 3,000 on the temperature scale.
Oops, that was the wrong way. And that's typically red stars. So some of the biggest stars like Betelgeuse, Arcturus, and even UI Scuti are only around that on the surface temperature. And as you can clearly see, these are Kelvin units. Next is 3000 to 4000 Kelvin for orange-lidded stars. Then from 4000 Kelvin to 6000 Kelvin, we have stars that are yellow. So sort of like our sun. After this, there's all white stars, which tend to be around that much on the Kelvin scale. Yeah, 6,000 to 10,000 Kelvin for stars that are all white is kind of crazy. Next, we have slightly cyan stars, which tend to be around 10,000 to 20,000. Then there's the rare chance that we have a full blue star that is 20,000 to 30,000. Keep in mind, Kelvin units are worth way more than typical units like Celsius or centigrade or imperial unit. And yes, that is what happened when I looked at that star.
It seems to be a little late out there. I think it's about time we called it down, this whole star thing. Wow, there isn't even the sun out there. It's just plain darkness out there. I think it's time for me to go to bed.